It's the 22nd of April 2013. It's a Monday and a start to a brand new week. A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Well, putting a further strain on the security situation in the United States following the recent events in Boston, the United States city of Seattle was under the spotlight today with a shooting incident that left 5 people dead.
The News First International Desk has a report on this story later on in the news, but first a look at tonight's headlines.
Making headlines this evening, the Energy Forum says the masses will bear 100% of the direct and indirect effects of electricity tariff revisions. Protests against the new electricity tariffs. Ministry Secretary says before the President that the fuel adjustment charge will not be needed once power plants are constructed. Stocks of vegetables discarded in Dambulla again. Waste from Kandy dumped into the Mahaveli River. And in news overseas, 5 people killed in a shooting in Seattle in the United States.
The Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy says while the Ministry has understood that it is not necessary to continue maintaining the fuel adjustment charge, this charge could be reduced if the second and third phases of the Norochole coal power plant commences this year. Speaking during a meeting with the heads of news media at Temple Trees today, President Mahinda Rajapaksa said that elections in the northern province will definitely be held this September.
Several ministers, secretaries of ministries, news editors and news directors participated at the meeting held this morning. Speaking at the meeting, Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy said that electricity tariffs had to be increased in order to cover the increased costs incurred by the Ceylon Electricity Board with the increase in fuel prices. The generation, distribution and transmission of power were all in the hands of the state. It was the United National Party government that first privatized power generation. At that time, they allowed the purchase of electricity for a higher price and the distribution of electricity for a lower charge, saying it was on behalf of the investors. When buying electricity from the private sector, you buy it for a high price and then we provide it to the consumer for a low price. Sometimes the Electricity Board has unwillingly signed agreements for 25 to 30 years. So these will have to be paid continuously. Although electricity could be generated at a much lower cost, they should have met the requirements of the CEB. In order to provide a profit for the investment of that group, electricity was purchased from the private sector at that time. It was also revealed at this meeting that work on the Sampur power plant would commence in June this year and the plant will be added to the national grid in 2016. Pavitra Vanyarach, the Minister of Power and Energy, speaking at this meeting, said that when she took office, a sum of 364 billion rupees was owed to various institutions. When I was in Nepal, students from the medical faculty below the Himalayas came to meet me. They said they are facing 18-hour power cuts. The President added that one could only topple the government by working hard and not with the assistance of foreign forces. The President reminisced that himself and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party worked for the people and succeeded in toppling a government.
Political parties, trade unions, chambers of commerce and civil society organizations have voiced their protest over the revised electricity tariffs.
Now, meanwhile, a number of trade unions gathered in Colombo today to discuss their future course of action on the revised electricity tariffs. Now, over the past several days, we comprehensively covered various aspects of the new electricity tariffs. Tonight, we are going to delve deeper into this topic. But before we do, let's quickly cross over to News First Zulfik Farzan, who is in Mahargama and who was covering a protest organized against the new electricity tariffs by the Janata Vimukti Peramuna today.
What you see behind me is a protest organized against the increased electricity tariffs which came into effect very recently. Now, according to the organizers, what they say is that in the future, the people will have to live in darkness, and that is what they are signifying with the lighting of those torches which you can see in the protest right behind me.
Well, thank you, Zulfik. Now, moving on. Last week, we covered comprehensively how the new electricity tariffs would affect household consumers. Tonight, we are going to look at how the revised tariffs affect the industrial sector. Now, it must be said that the electricity tariffs for the industrial sector are quite complex. The electricity bill for the industrial sector is calculated based on a number of factors, such as the nature of the industry, the demand for electricity, and the intention of electricity consumption. Accordingly, the electricity bill is calculated under three categories. This is how the bill is calculated for the first category, that's industrial sector I, category 1. Unit price, fixed charge, fuel adjustment charge. These are the old tariffs and the revised tariffs. Now, of course, these figures are available on our website. You can find the comprehensive details of how this is calculated for industrial sector category 1. You can find all the details that we have on the website. Now, electricity charges increase for the bill for the second category in the industrial sector is calculated very differently to what you are seeing up here on this monitor. This is how it is. As you can see, it's a far more complex calculation for category 2. What is notable here is that unit prices fall into three categories, namely daytime, peak, and off-peak. Also, in addition to the fixed charges and the fuel adjustment charge, an additional demand charge is also included in calculating bills for this category. This is how the bill would be calculated for industrial sector category 3. As you can see, you have the unit price, fixed charge, fuel adjustment charge, demand charge. Again, the unit price is split into three categories, daytime, peak, and off-peak. We have the old tariffs and the new tariffs. Moving on. Now, business chambers, including the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, say that on average, the industrial sector will see electricity charges increasing by between 20 to 30%. They believe that businesses will not be able to bear such a sudden increase and that this would lead to a breakdown in the profitability of businesses. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce notes that this also brings forth serious problems for the export sector. The Chamber points out that while exports decreased by 7.4% last year, exports decreased by 18% by January this year. Now, we visited a number of industrialists to obtain their views on how the new electricity tariffs will affect them. We will have to charge consumers to cover the increase in the electricity bill. The electricity bill has increased by 60%. When the electricity bill increases, consumers are also affected. Prices for produce like prawns and squid will also increase. Our costs will increase, but our revenue will remain unchanged. We will have to pay the increased electricity bill using the same profit. This could lead to financial difficulties in the institution and affect employee welfare as well. We will have to cover the cost of the electricity bill by charging consumers. A customer bought a bulb from me, and when I said it would affect the electricity bill by a certain amount, he left it and went away. We have calculated that our bill will increase by 18%. In the packaging industry, most of the machinery runs on electricity. Almost all our machinery relies on electricity. Our production costs will increase as a result of this. Thereby, you may see an increase in the prices of goods manufactured by us.
The government has increased the cost of electricity by increasing the peak hour tariff by 79%. The overall effect on the industry is that the energy cost goes up by 23%. This is a very high cost which the industry cannot pass on to the consumers and has to absorb it by itself. As it is, the construction industry is doing poorly at this moment, and we cannot pass these costs to the customer. I think the government has to decide on a new strategy on how they want to balance their budgets at this period of time.
We will have to charge the consumers in order to pay the electricity bill. We will have to either increase the prices or reduce the net weight of the products, keeping the standard the same in order to cover the electricity bill. Now, it is evident that the common people will be affected directly and indirectly as a result of the increase in electricity tariffs. While their household electricity bills will increase on one hand, on the other hand, they will be faced with increased prices for the goods they purchase, as electricity bills of producers will also increase. As a result of the costs of businesses increasing, employees will see their incomes reduced. This goes to show that the common man will be affected by what we call a 3-point pressure: increase in their household electricity bill, increase in the price of goods and services, and also cutbacks on employment benefits. Now, the Energy Forum says that the masses will be battered on 3 fronts through the increase in electricity tariffs.
දුප්පත් ජනතාවගේත් මධ්‍යම පන්තියෙත්
When you take the poor and the middle class, paying the electricity bill is among their 5 priority monthly expenses. The small-scale entrepreneur has to cover his costs somehow. This will definitely result in a price increase. So again, indirectly, the consumer is affected. Whether you look at it as gross or net, it is the economies of these people that feel the brunt of the effect of electricity tariff hikes.
100ක් විතර මේ විදුලි බිල නිසා තමන්ගේ ආර්ථිකයට යම් බලපෑමක් ඇති වෙනවා.
Now, political representatives also expressed views today on the increase in electricity tariffs.
මංගල සමරවීර හිටපු ඇමතුමා මේ වෙනකොට වැරදි අර්ථකාන්තරයක්.
Former Minister Mangala Samaravira is attempting to spread a false idea. He says that even if cabinet ministers spend over 200,000 rupees, they only pay 2,000 rupees a month for the electricity bill. We do not do this. We completely pay our dues. We know that back in the day, he wasted government funds when constructing his office. He would have done the same thing for electricity as well. We did not increase prices willingly. We had to do it. If the situation becomes better in the future, the government will reduce the tariffs.
තත්ත්වයක් එනකොට මේක අඩු කරන්නත් රජය කටයුතු කරනවා.
Now, we also conducted an SMS poll asking you, our viewers, whether electricity tariffs should be reduced immediately. Here are the results of this poll. Well, as you can see on this pie chart, 95.45% of our viewers have voted yes, electricity tariffs should be reduced immediately, while 4.55% have voted no. Now, several people also commented on the issue on our website www.newsfirst.lk. Let's take a quick look at a few of these comments. This government will not leave an ordinary person alone for even one day if they fail to pay the electricity bill. However, on the other hand, no matter how much electricity they consume, government ministers only pay 2,000 rupees. I know this. The same was true for us back in the day. It is not for any other reason that the electricity board's losses increase daily. Time now to take a look at the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Thank you, Nadeem, for that comprehensive analysis of the increase in electricity tariffs. Just a reminder, you can follow up on that story on our website www.newsfirst.lk.